Hey everybody, Matt Brown, product manager for Plotly here to show you our brand new data sources feature. Um, this feature has been in the works for a while. It's probably our number one requested feature request of all time. It's understandable why. It's a critical feature that allows you to connect to your company's data. Now today, if you download Plotly Studio and install it, you'll be in the old flow. You're gonna drag and drop a CSV or a Parquet file, a static file into Plotly Studio, and then you're going to give it some context, and then it's going to generate an app outline, and then you're going to create an app from that. And that was great for our MVP. But starting with the data sources project, we're going to have a brand new flow when you create a project. So if you click this new project button, you're going to be brought to this screen. Okay, this is our brand new data sources screen. First thing you'll notice right out of the gate is that this is a chat interface. And the reason it's a chat interface is because this is a highly interactive um, process, right? You have to tell it what you want to connect to, how you want to connect to it, what are the credentials that you need to connect to that data source, what transformations might you need, etc. Right? And that's why we chose to go with a chat interface because we want this to be very interactive and also agentic. So when errors are detected, this will actually feed logs back into our agent so that it can remediate for you. It's pretty awesome. So I'm going to walk through how to use this tool and just some really creative ways of using it to connect to virtually any data source you can think of. How can it connect to any data source you can think of? Well, it's because we didn't build bespoke connectors for every single data source that we could. We're actually leveraging the LLM to write all of the connection and query code for us. So basically, if you can connect to whatever you need to via Python, so can our new data sources feature, which is pretty incredible. Um, okay, so let's get started. On the left here, you're going to see the primary chat window. If I wanted to drag and drop a static file, just like I could before, I do that here, right? No changes there. If you want to try sample data that we have bundled with the application, you can do that right here. Just click that and away you go. Now, if you're just kicking the tires of Plotly Studio and you want to see what it can do, maybe you don't want to give it any private data that you have. Well, one way to kick the tires, but kind of stay within your domain of expertise, is to simply type in the prompt what kind of test data that you would like to use. So I could say, for example, create a sample data set for analyzing engineering defects, right? What's cool about this is that under the hood, this is going to use likely a library like Faker in Python, and it's going to create this synthetic data set for us to use. You don't have to go source this thing or go back out to Python and have it generate it for you. You can do it right in the tool. Plotly Studio is going to do a little bit of thinking. It's then going to write some code, which I'll show you here in a minute, and then it's going to return a data view, which is a really fun way to get started with data sources if you are just brand new and you're just kind of trying to figure out what Plotly Studio is all about. So now you can see that the code is updated. It's creating all of this data for us under the hood. It's writing a loop, and it's going to populate our data frame. And you'll see here now we have a synthetic data set that we can use in Plotly Studio. Very cool. This works with all sorts of prompts. I have another one here that says create a sample data set for portfolio risk analysis. That one works, right? Just drop in whatever kind of data or industry or use case you have here, and you're good to go. Very cool. Okay, let's reset the conversation. Well, what happens if you're connecting to, oh, let's say a remote database, okay? You're going to have these conversation starters down here at the bottom where we mention things like Snowflake or Databricks or S3. Again, these are just suggestions to get you up and running with this. They are not the entirety of what we offer. So if you come in here and say, connect to my Athena database or whatever, it will connect to that, right? Today I have a Snowflake database, so we're going to start with that. I'll just say connect to Snowflake. And that's all I have to tell our data sources feature. Just say connect to Snowflake. And what Plotly Studio is going to do is figure out what kind of credentials I'll likely need, and then it's going to ask me to input them, right? So I've said connect to Snowflake. It's now telling me that I'm going to need these types of credentials, and it's asking me to configure my credentials over here on the right. On the right-hand side of the screen, this is your artifact view. So this is what you'll use to preview the table that comes back, to enter in credentials, to see logs from the server that is running that preview, to look at the code and the specification, etc. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and configure credentials and show you our new credentials form. Now, something to keep in mind is that this is fully dynamic. So if it's missing a particular form field, I can just ask it to add it. If it has an extra one I don't need, I can ask it to remove it. This is completely reactive to whatever data source I've requested to connect to, right? These are not pre-programmed. This is not sitting in a hard-coded tree somewhere. This is all dynamically generated, and it's generated from the code. Now, you may be wondering, well, what happens? Like, if I put my credentials in here, will I be exposing these to the LLM? The answer is no, absolutely not. As you may have caught a second ago, we have a brand new get credential function that we call. The only thing that we ever expose to the LLM are just the keys used for that service. So the things like Snowflake account, username, the Snowflake password key, that's what we send to the LLM. But the actual value that is secret, we never expose to the LLM, which is, obviously a huge benefit. All right, so if I want to connect to Snowflake, give me 1 second while I grab some credentials, and then we will run a query. 1 sec. Okay, I have entered in my credentials over here and saved them. And after I did that, it then connected to Snowflake, and it actually hit a few errors, right? And this is a great example for me to show you how that agentic workflow works. So once I've connected, it tried to run a show databases command. Turns out it needed to make a few changes in the code in order for that to work. No problem. It then did another loop, fixed some code, and now, bam, now I've got my database here ready to explore. What's cool about the way data sources works in Plotly Studio is that if you're connected to a database, what it's going to try to do is list all of the table names that are available to you, right? It's not quite a tool for data exploration yet, but it's certainly serviceable for seeing what's available to you. So you can see here I've got database name and all the schema names, and then all the tables that are available to me. And if I want to use one of these, I can just type that into the chat. So one thing I'll do here is just grab these values, and I'll say use, and then let me grab this. Okay, and now what it's going to do is go back to the query, update it, and use this database schema and table, and I'll be ready to go. I'm, of course, just because I want this to be smooth and fast, I'm just connecting to a single table, but we can actually run joins without any real hassle here either. This, of course, is the table that I asked for. It looks great. If I wanted to, let's say, compute a column here, I could also do that. So let's try to make a transformation here. I'll say create a new column called the dynamic range. Let it equal the high minus the low column, right? Something really straightforward, just a computed column, right? And so what this is going to do is go back into the code, make that change in the SQL query, and then once this reloads, we're going to see that brand new column over on the right, right? Nothing too crazy, but what's really cool about this is that this allows you to prepare the data, right? And it's not just for deriving columns in SQL. You can do this with files. So Case in point, I had a user reach out earlier this week who said, I'm having issues with this file using the old data upload workflow. I threw it in here and it found an encoding issue and it corrected it on the fly and then showed me right here. So this is actually pretty great for preparation, like preparing your data, for doing lightweight data cleaning. You can actually have it drop rows where empties, are shown it for particular columns. You name it. You can use this to completely shape your data, and it can use both SQL and Python to do all of those transformations to get your data ready for visualization. It is a very, very powerful tool. Okay, this is how we connect to a Snowflake database. Again, we can do joins. I actually have a local DuckDB database that I'm going to now show you how we work with that. Give me 1 second. Okay, cool. I've reset the conversation, and now let's grab this prompt and tell Plotly Studio that we want to connect to our local retail sales DuckDB database. Now this is a like a star schema database that has several tables that need to be joined together: orders, stores, customers, and products. I want to pull all of that together and transform the data to show daily order activity by store. So we'll be creating some aggregations here and asking it to give me some relevant statistics. Let's see how well it does with this. Now, I do expect this to come back with an error to start, primarily because it doesn't know anything about the schema, and oftentimes it'll just try to take a swing and make, it'll make guesses about what the schema should look like. My guess is that it will come back with an error, but this is a great opportunity to show you how it resolves errors dynamically when it comes upon them. So here we go. First error, okay, looks like it made a guess of a column name that we don't have, no problem, because what it's going to do now is it's going to explore the schema, make sure that it has the context it needs to create the join that it needs. In the long run, again, this is in early access. In the long run, we're going to streamline this workflow and make sure that we do some of these things up front. But that being said, we can work reactively here and we can resolve this issue now that we've hit it. Great. Now it has the schema. It's monologuing a little bit on the left to let us know what it's doing. This all looks great to me. It's figuring out what columns can map to which columns. Um, let's see. Can you verify that the correct artifact is running? Looks like it's just loading the table. We'll give it a second. This may actually be a good opportunity to talk a little bit about the specification. The specification is kind of a high level summary of what we've done in the prompt. Over time, we're going to enrich this so that that it will have a bunch of really great information packed in here. That ideally, if you dropped this into a subsequent chat, it could basically rebuild everything you need, minus the credentials you'd have to enter in, of course, manually. Pretty cool. All right, here we go. It has written this code for me, right? As you can see, a nice chunky SQL query here. This looks great. We're doing all the joins that I would expect. It's grouping, it's ordering, right? Perfect. This looks great. And again, here's the preview. I actually have other examples I would love to show you, but I realize that we're already pushing the boundaries of kind of what we should show in a single video. But suffice it to say, some other things that we've done with this, you can use a local DB like this or a remote DB, and you can actually enrich data on the fly using an API. So the example that I have here, it uses the OpenMedio Python API to enrich a table with daily weather information for a specific city, which is kind of cool. So you can see potentially how weather would affect sales, right? The salient point here is that you can use and blend multiple data sources because it's all happening in Python. We just have to ask it to cache that data so that Plotly Studio has, one set of files to build the data frame it needs for the app that it's going to generate. But as long as you're staying within those parameters, the sky's the limit. Another example that we have here is loading data continuously. You could actually use a Python API to use an interval and go out and ping an API and pull back data every 10 seconds, for example. You would have to go into some of the components and also specify the interval at which they should refresh, but it's totally doable. Maybe a little bit experimental, but still pretty awesome. You can actually join data locally from multiple uploaded files. So you could drag in multiple CSV files and say, I'd like to join these based on this column. That'll work. Or if you have a folder local on your computer that has a bunch of CSVs or Parquet files inside of it, you can tell it, hey, I want to load all of the data in this folder. All of the files have a common schema. That also works. You can even pull data directly from a public Google Sheet, which is pretty cool. You just give it the URL of your sheet, make sure the access permissions are set appropriately, and it will go out and pull that back down. Last but not least, if you have file types that we don't natively support today, like let's say a GeoJSON file, you can actually reference that by path, and in my testing, it has actually worked. So pretty amazing, all of the things you can do with this and all the things you can connect to, and really because of the power of using the LLM to create the connections dynamically. The last thing I want to show you before I sign off here is this brand new generate flow. So in the product today, you would see us create an entire application full of 6 charts all at once, right? Maybe some of those are interesting to you, maybe some aren't. And while we're not going to completely do away with that here in the future, I want to highlight this brand new Explore mode we just recently shipped in the product. This actually puts you in the driver's seat to peruse different analytic categories and then analytical questions that we dynamically populate based on the schema of your data. This allows you to, just take a look at the things that only matter, to your analysis, right? Are you interested in revenue over time? Are you interested in customers and order trends by month? Maybe you're trying to compare the revenues of multiple stores, right? We have these different categories that help you kind of poke through these questions. If any of these look interesting, you can view the prompt that will be written in using our best practices under the hood, and then you can just generate any of these that look good. I can generate multiple ones at a time, and then they'll start showing up here on the left. Once these populate, they'll show up in our app. And if we go back to our running app, this is my empty app, and then this will start populating with those charts as these things resolve. So pretty cool workflow overall, and just amazing the breadth of data sources that you can connect to with this new feature. Again, we're in early access. We hope to share a GA date with you soon. We also have an upcoming webinar that I would greatly urge you to go check out on the 16th of December of 2025. We would love to see you there. We're going to be showing off some more examples. And I think I'm going to leave it there for right now. Appreciate your time. Thanks.